Hello and you're very welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod, the latest edition coming at you during half-term. I guess you've been reasonably busy, haven't you, Burf?
I have been pretty busy most mornings during this half-term, which has been nice. We've been running the Girls Rugby Club half-term squad, and we've had so many different players on to host a variation of either a workout or... We had Shauna Brown yesterday who did a session on confidence and why it's important and how you get it. We had Emily Scarrett cook us brunch. We've had all sorts. We had Lauren Delaney doing a cooking course on Wednesday, and we're finishing up today with Eleanor Snowstill. So it's been really busy, but really good for all the young girls out there. And boys, I should say. We have got boys on the squad as well.
Oh, right. Okay, great. Good. It sounding like it's been good fun. Some huge news coming out of South Africa. Not that we knew this before we planned our guest for today. South African player Zinhle Ndawonde. But that's off the back of the news yesterday. Did you see this? That South Africa have announced their first ever high performance manager. Rassie Erasmus said the role and appointment was made after a critical re-evaluation of South African rugby's approach to women's rugby. Not before time, but what a positive step. And the lady taking that role is a good friend of the pod, Lynne Cantrell. That is massive news for South Africa, isn't it?
Oh, it's an unbelievable appointment. With everything that Lynne has done since she retired from playing, it sets her up to make such a big impact. And she takes such great knowledge from the roles of working with the Sport of Ireland, taking all of that knowledge and experience to a country like South Africa where they're developing. And as you said they're now they've had a critical re-evaluation. She's going to make such an impact very quickly. And what good timing leading into this year with the Rugby World Cup. I'm really, really pleased for her. And for South Africa Rugby Union to outsource, look at who's out there to actually really make an impact. And, Lynne's been part of the high performance women's rugby program with World Rugby. So, I'm really, really proud of the steps that she's made. And to be in a role like that is unbelievable. And I wish her all the best.
Yeah, and obviously there's commitment both sides because Lynne, young family, and she wouldn't be taking the whole family down to South Africa. It wasn't really serious. So it's a brilliant move. We've also got some audio from the press conference. So let's take a listen to the announcement now from the South African Rugby Union and this exciting news about women's rugby.
We did a proper strategic planning about a year and a half ago, and we all agreed that women's rugby should be really prioritized really high. And from that meeting, that EXCO strategic meeting with leadership, women's rugby was ranked the second highest priority in our organization, even higher than the Blitzbokke and higher than, the junior Springboks and SA schools. It was the second highest priority. But we needed somebody to steer the ship and to, have experience and knowledge of this. So we embarked on getting somebody, and, we're happy to say we have Lynne appointed as the high performance manager now.
But I think for what appealed to me about the role was the intention by Rassie and Charles and Yuri to commit at a leadership level to its future. And I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't that. So it's very helpful to have a different shade of green, but genuinely I'm fully committed to making a difference from a women's rugby point of view, because I see it just got massive potential. But I think this is a very strategic role, and I think my role is about performance in the future. To do that, I have to understand where the gems of knowledge are in what's happened in the past, and then build what we need to do towards trying to create a women's Springboks performing team in 2025 and in 2029.
And following on from that, actually today's guest, we didn't actually know about South Africa's announcement. We're planning to talk to South African players and get a little insight as to what's going on in South Africa as they lead up to the World Cup, of course, in that same pool as England, France and Fiji. And I caught up with Zinhle Ndawonde a little bit earlier on, who juggles being a international test rugby player and being a firefighter as well. It is a great pleasure to introduce on a week which South African rugby, women's South African rugby is at the forefront with some incredible news, to have one of their players on the line all the way down there in sunny South Africa. Zinhle, good morning to you. How are you?
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very, very well, thank you. All the better for hearing your cheery voice.
No, I'm great, thanks. I'm just at work here in South Africa. It's actually 11 o'clock in the morning, so I'm at work. Just hit a session now, so I'm just going to carry on with my duties now.
All right, well, I've got lots to ask you, and we'll get back to what you do during the day. But obviously, the first thing is to say, how's things in South Africa? Obviously, the world is in a very strange place at the moment. Everybody with you and your family, what have you, everybody's safe and well?
Yeah, we are okay, so thanks for asking. Obviously, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been under a lot of strain. There's people who've lost close friends, who've lost the loved ones. We've also been affected in many ways. Sport-wise, we've been affected, entertainment and business. But personally, with rugby, obviously, we are used to being on the field and training and running around. So it quite limited us and strained us a bit to actually train at home. And sometimes you would train at home and feel as if you're not doing anything because you want to be in the field and you want to be running, doing all those fitness and conditioning to help you obviously to get fit. But I must compliment our management team together with Saru, because during this whole pandemic, they've organized programs for each and every player in different provinces where you have to follow the program, whether it's a home workout, nutrition programs that they did for us to make sure that we're eating healthy. And luckily for me, because I was on one of the frontline workers, so I went to work obviously 4 days in and I'd rest the 4 days off. So during my 4 days at work, because there's so much space to use and utilize, I made sure that I utilize anything that I can find in the fire department and anything that can actually help me up my fitness level.
Oh, right. Well, you've given us a little insight there as to what keeps you busy away from the rugby field, and that's being a firefighter.
Yes, definitely.
Do you enjoy that? Because I've got a friend who's a firefighter over here in the UK, and what he always talks about is the camaraderie and the team spirit within very intense situations. Yeah. Obviously, but there are lots of parallels to draw with rugby there.
Yeah, it is. To be honest with you, I never wanted to be a firefighter at first because I studied sport management. So I wanted to be involved with sports as much as I was playing sport, but I wanted to be in the management side of it. Unfortunately, after doing my national diploma in sport management, I couldn't find a job. So I said, okay, let me just find whatever it is that I can do at the moment so that I'm able to sustain my family, because I live with my mom and my younger sister. So I'm the eldest at home and I have to look after them. So I saw a post at King Shaka International Airport where I applied. I did the fitness testing. It was quite a run through because I have been used to running and doing all the fitnesses with rugby. So I passed with flying colors, and starting to work as a firefighter, learning that you are not there only to just switch fires, but you are there to save someone's life, to make someone's day. So when I was busy doing training and getting that physicality and getting to the fire, getting to those risks, taking the risk and helping people's life, that's when I started developing the passion and the love for firefighting, just as I do have for rugby. And one question that people always ask me a lot is, how do you then balance, or how is your rugby career then affected because you're doing rugby and you're doing firefighting as well? How does that now come together? And one thing for me is that rugby has the same sentiment as firefighting does, because when you're a firefighter, firstly, one thing you need to do is you can never go in a building or in a situation alone. So that simply means that you need the person next to you in order to survive. So we need each other. It's like in a rugby game, when for us to score a try, we need the forwards to do the work. We need the 10 to obviously pass the ball to 12, 12 to pass the ball to 13, and so on, and see where we can penetrate and actually get into a gap where we can score. So that's teamwork as well. So for me, they go hand in hand, because it's the same thing with rugby. It requires you to be fit physically and mentally. Firefighting requires the same thing. It requires you to be able to work with another person, to have a partnership and be a family and trust each other. Same with rugby. It requires the same thing, because for us to score a try, I need to trust that the number 10 can actually hit the penalty throughs for us to get those 3 points or those 2 points. I have to trust that the forwards can do their job in the scrum for us to actually win the game or to go and score a try. So I enjoy rugby so much. I enjoy being a firefighter as well. So yeah, for me, it's never really a strain. Instead, it's more of a benefit or an advantage, because even when I'm at work, I'm able to continue with my program, which I'm given by Saru and the management team from the Springbok Women's. So they've been helping me a lot as well. The firefighting space has been helping me a lot in terms of fitness as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, it sounds like they very much go hand in hand. If we can just turn our attention to matters on the field, some really, really big news coming out of South Africa, and it's something that we've almost been waiting for a while. I remember covering the South African ladies in 2010 in the World Cup, and just the psyche around women's rugby in the country wasn't right. Now yesterday's announcement, we're recording this on Friday the 19th. Lynne Cantrell, a lady who we know very well here on the pod and I personally know very well, Irish legend, is going to come in as the first ever high performance director for women's rugby. Just what a statement is that for women's rugby down in South Africa? Yeah,
thank you so much. It's quite a big step. Especially as you have said, Lynne has been an Irish legend, and she's been on the industry. She understands what's happening. She understands the issues that we as women go through. So I think with her coming in, it would be a lot of help, especially from someone who's been on the field. Because sometimes people don't understand what especially we women who play male-dominant sports, the things that we go through and the challenges that we face. So if you have been in that situation and you understand the circumstances and the challenges that women face, then it's easy for you to come into a department and actually say, no, listen, these women are having problems with 1, 2, and 3. So this needs to change and that needs to change. And I think it's a big money in the pocket for us, the Springbok women's team, because obviously with the World Cup coming up, we are looking to have a whole lot of changes. We're looking to have a whole lot of positivity, and obviously a whole lot of help coming from the people, also helping them to make sure that we are well prepared to actually go to the World Cup, and not just go there to add numbers, but go there and perform. So that obviously leaves a lot of work with the people on top of the management. Are we getting enough equipment? Are we getting enough camps to help us prepare for the World Cup? Are we getting enough games? And all of that. And I think everything is going to be sorted perfectly, and we're trusting that when we go to the World Cup, we'll be the perfect team, obviously, to perform and bring what we as South African women can bring into the table. Brilliant.
You speak with such passion. It's very infectious. You're waking me up in a fantastic mood here in the UK. Zinhle, if you don't know about South African rugby, what is the funnel, the pyramid that goes up to, obviously yourself, you're a Springbok woman. What is the pathway in South Africa, the different regions and what have you? Just give us a little oversight as to how you make that progression, how rugby is structured in South Africa.
So we do have. There's not much rugby that is playing in schools, because I remember even when I got selected to play for the under-16s, I was still in high school. But I think there were only a few teams of schools, especially high schools, that that play rugby. But they've changed that where they've developed a YTC. The past years we had YTC, which is youth training centers, where they start training these young girls at their young age, where they have teams of under 16s and under 18s in each and every province. So you have maybe in KZN, there's under 16 in Western Province and Lions in Joburg and so forth. So these teams then play against each other. And obviously, before they even go to tournaments, they just kids. They just started playing rugby, so they get to be taught a lot of skills and they get to be developed in terms of rugby. But senior side, we have clubs in each and every province, so these clubs play against each other throughout the year. And then let's say I choose KZN since I'm from KZN, so we'll have 5 clubs in KZN, or 6 or 7, depending on the teams that are there. So these teams will play against each other, and then the KZN coach obviously will select players that he thinks he wants on the interprovincial team. So what happens now is he selects the players, and then he selects the squad. Then the squad goes and plays against other provinces. Now we're talking Western Province, we're talking Lions, we're talking Border. So now these are provincial teams. So we started from a single province. We went to many provinces, and then when we play our provincial games, that's where the senior or the SA coach looks at our game. He also comes to our games to see the players that he can select to come and be part of the squad that he wants. We then get invited into a camp where we get taught quite a lot of things, and we play against each other. We also play against boys, which is funny, but it's good. I love it. I love playing against boys, to give them a challenge a bit, So we play against boys, and then obviously the coach will then select a squad that will go, maybe if you have a test match, that will represent South Africa in that test match, and so forth.
Right, okay, brilliant. I'm conscious of your time. You're at work, and I don't know, we have a joke over here with firefighters that when they're not working, they're playing pool or playing darts or volleyball or something like that. So I don't want to keep you
watching TV.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you from the television program. But just a couple more questions, if I may, Zinhle. Your journey as an international player. Do you remember your first cap? Just take us through your little journey to representing your country and the feelings around that.
Yeah. Well, my journey has been quite a long journey, because I grew up being raised by a single parent who was working as a domestic worker.
Yeah.
At home. So I grew up knowing soccer. I didn't know rugby at all. I remember watching rugby on TV, and I said to myself, this sport is rough. I would never play the sport, because I was so used to playing soccer with the guys. So when I got to high school, that's when I was introduced to rugby. I started playing touch the first year, then the second, and I must say, the first time I got to be on the field and to tackle someone and being taught how to tackle to pass a ball. Immediately, I just fell in love with rugby. I said to myself, this is what I want to do. This is me. Rugby is challenging. It's very, it's very energetic. It's very, it's like firefighting. It needs you to focus mentally. It needs you, when you're tired, it needs you to actually be there and try focus. So from that when I was still 16, I started having national provincial colors at the age of 16, where I played SA games, which is games that are played around around all the provinces in South Africa. And then I made the debut for the Sharks in 2008, and I've managed to be part of to be a Sharks captain for 2 years, which was 2016 and 2017. Yeah, the road wasn't easy, because I remember the squad that went to the World Cup in 2014. I was actually called up for one or two of those camps. I wouldn't say I was still young, but let me just say I was not ready yet, because I went to those camps but didn't make the final squad, which went to the World Cup in 2014. And that's when I started changing my life, because I said to myself, the biggest dream is to, obviously, as a player or any young player, is to represent your country. Yes, you represent your club, you represent your province, but the greatest gift is to represent your province. I mean, to represent your country, which is South Africa. So I said to myself, okay, I haven't met this card for this team. What is it that I'm doing wrong? So that's when I went back and said to myself, okay, I need to decide what I want to do with my life, where I want to be. So I sat down and said, okay, I want to be part of the World Cup. It doesn't matter which World Cup that comes by, but I want to be part of it. But that just doesn't come with just sitting down and saying I need to be part of the World Cup. I then said to myself, okay, there's a few things that I need to work on. I need to be disciplined, firstly. I need to make sure that I work twice as hard. Obviously, I go to training and train with the team. But then after the training session of an hour or two with the team, what do I do to better myself, to upskill myself? I decided, okay, I need to do extra work, because just being on a training field or for that 1 hour or two is not enough. So I needed to do a little bit extra for me to actually be where I wanted to be. I needed to change my eating diet. I needed to change the type of friends that I was hanging around with, because not every one of your friends have the same goal as you do. So I made a whole lot of changes with my life, and that's when I started getting call-ups with from the coach, Coach Polly, who was coaching the Springbok Women's sevens, and fortunately and so blessed to be part of the sevens team. I've been in many tournaments with them, Hong Kong sevens. I've been San Francisco for the World Cup, Commonwealth Games. So after the big decision I made for myself, that's when I started seeing results. That's when I started seeing positivity. That's when I started having the reward where I'm being called to camp, because even the coaches could see that, okay, Zinhle is working really hard. You can actually see it, and you can see it. And when she's at camp, you see everything that she does it with effort, she does it with attitude. So that is exactly what they needed from a player. And I changed that just by simply deciding what I wanted to do with my life. Wow.
What a brilliant story. Truly inspirational stuff for any of our young listeners out there. Just finally then, Zinhle, you're obviously World Cup later this year. That's one of your personal goals, as we've just heard. How much are you looking forward to getting down to New Zealand? Should you be selected, of course? I know you don't want to preempt these things, but how much, if you were selected, what would it mean to you, and how much would you look forward to being in the greatest stage of women's rugby?
Definitely. As much as I've been to the Sevens World Cup, but 15s also is one of the World Cups that I've been wanting to, because that's 15. I played 15 before Sevens, so that has been my biggest dream ever. So it would mean so much to be part of the final squad that's going to be playing in the World Cup in New Zealand this year. Obviously, we all know that it just doesn't come easy. Nothing ever comes easy in life. It's easy. If it comes easy, then it's going to go past. But if you work hard for it and you put all the effort, it will always be there, and the result will always show that you have been working and obviously, even your performance changes to show that you have been doing so much in order to prepare for this. Obviously, looking forward to being in New Zealand. Have I been to New Zealand? No, I don't think I have been. So looking forward, obviously, looking forward to be in New Zealand, seeing different teams, seeing different cultures of everybody. Obviously, it's a big tournament, so there's going to be such a big atmosphere around the whole of New Zealand. So looking forward to enjoying that, but also looking forward to be part of the Springbok women's team. I mean, that's pride to say that we have worked so hard, and looking at the amount of work that we have done since 2014, and looking at what the management has helped the players to be, and what we have become. Looking back, it's a massive, huge change. So we are very happy. We are very excited as a team to be part of the World Cup. And yeah, obviously we haven't played most of the team. Like if you look at our pool, we have France, Fiji, and England. England we've played in a test match. Fiji we've never played. France, I think they've made France in 2014 as well. So it's gonna be a bit of. It's not an easy pool, I must say. It's not. It's not such an easy pool. But if you look at it, England lost in the runners-up of the World Cup, and then France was the bronze medalist on the previous World Cup. So that shows that we are not going to just walk. It's not going to be an easy game. It's not going to be 3 easy games. It's going to be difficult. They are the top team. They are in one of the top 6 teams. And yes, that's where we want to be. That's what my sevens coach usually say. We want to play against the best teams. For us to actually measure ourselves to see where we are, whether to also see what we have been the work that we have been doing the past years. We need to play against the top teams so that we can weigh ourselves and see what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, what can we do best, what do we need to improve. What do we need to improve on, So I think it's a tough pool, but we looking forward to the tough pool because one thing you must know about South Africans is that they like physicality. So we are looking forward to being there and not just to be there, but to play our game and obviously the structure that we are told to do. Obviously we can't analyze and say this. Well, we want to see how England plays and how France plays and what they give to us and worry more about them instead of worrying about us because we haven't been in the World Cup for quite some time. So we need to worry about us and what we can do as a team and what we can bring into the World Cup and what the advantages that we have as a team and how we can utilize that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, do you know what? Watch out England, watch out Fiji, watch out France, because if you play as passionately and with as much conviction as you speak, Zinhle, then there will be some really, really tough games. No, we'll leave it there. It's been genuinely a real pleasure to speak to you this morning. Thank you so much for your time. I know we haven't had much news in the UK and in Europe around South African rugby, and certainly not on the podcast. So it's brilliant to get your take on it. And all the very best with selection. And who knows, perhaps we'll see you down in New Zealand in September.
Thank you very much for having me, sir. You have a great day as well.
Thank you so much. You take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye now.
I'm Lynne Cantrell, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
The first Sevens tournament of 2021 took place in Egypt last weekend, with Egypt hosting the first women's version of the Arab Sevens. Syria, Lebanon and UAE also took part in the tournament, but saw Egypt win convincingly on their return to international rugby after 10 years out.
Yeah,
pretty good comeback,
isn't it? Just back with a bang. Continuing on the sevens, Madrid this weekend is hosting the sevens tournament, men and women's. On the women's side, Russia, Kenya, Spain, USA, Poland, and France all competing. And there's a great preview of the tournament over with our friends at Scrum Queens.
And another fixture we need to tell you about comes from the European Championship. Spain host Russia, some 11 months after Russia surprised all by beating Netherlands in the opening round. If they win, then they are in the European qualifier for the World Cup. If Spain win, then it will be decided next weekend when Spain meet Netherlands. There's a more in-depth look if you want to have a look with our good friends again at Scrum Queens.
Yeah, they're everywhere, Scrum Queens, aren't they? Not great news to report regarding the Asia World Cup qualifiers, though. Due to be held in March in Hong Kong, doubling up as the Asian Championship with Japan, Hong Kong and Kazakhstan all involved. They've been cancelled. Now, this could happen in other locations, but time, of course, is running out. It just looks like using the country's World Rugby rankings is going to come into play. Possibly not ideal, but what else can we do in these unprecedented times?
And Rugby Canada earlier this month hired an independent investigator and revamped the coaching staff of their Women's Sevens programme after receiving a complaint from the team. The Women's Sevens was coached by former Canadian international John Tate, the director of Women's High Performance at Rugby Canada, but he was not mentioned in the new coaching setup announced. Mike Byrne takes charge, and he was the former skills coach.
Yeah, more news to come out of Rugby Canada once that review has been done. Some good news around the Men's Six Nations. Of course, Jo Neville, the first female TMO Calcutta Cup match back in round 1, and Holly Davidson has been refereeing in the Pro 14 as well. So big up to those two officials.
And now my French is going to come out. We've got some reporting from France. Gail Hermet, the French, and Stade Toulousain has won the Midi Olympique. Is that right? The French newspaper, French rugby newspaper Player of the Year.
It was very good.
How do you say congratulations in French?
Oof.
I got ya.
You have. Salute. I don't actually know.
I would say well done. Is that like
Bon. Yeah.
Bon.
Bon, Gail. Well done. Now to domestic news. The Allianz Premier 15s, the investigation into your club, Harlequins' breach of the COVID minimum operating standards, which resulted in the disputes committee awarding Saracens that win on a 5-match point. Due to the game being cancelled, Quins made an appeal. The decision of the committee was upheld. Was also then made an appeal that the game between them and Harlequins scheduled on the 9th of January but rearranged to February the 20th due to COVID situation at Quins. The game will go ahead on the 20th. So that appeal's sort of thrown out. Wasps will also have to wait to play DMP as the fixture on Saturday the 13th was postponed due to a frozen pitch at Durham University ground. So results from last weekend from the Premier 15s. DMP was, as we said, was postponed. Worcester, Exeter with another win.
Yeah, I think we both predicted that Exeter were going to win that, but my God, look at that score, 10-17, one try in it. Like for all our talking about Worcester, how we expect more from them, that is what we expect for sure. So yeah, I haven't seen the highlights. I'd love to see how that game played out. But yeah, really pleased to see that, Exeter have got another win on their sheet, but also Worcester are pushing the scores a lot closer than previous.
Yeah, Bristol bounced back in the post Kim Oliver period. I must just say also Kim Oliver and Kat Merchant involved in the Ealing Academy alongside Henley College as well. So yeah, congratulations for those two on those appointments. But her old side, Bristol 22, Sale 12. Good result for Bristol.
Yeah, good for them to get back to winning ways. I think Sale, having spoken to a couple of girls, pretty disappointed about some easy opportunities that they give Bristol. But that's the story of Bristol. It's, they're a very opportunist side. They've got someone like Jazz Joyce that can literally turn something into nothing. So Sale will be quite disappointed that they weren't able to push that one. So I reckon with all the results so far with Bristol, they were probably targeting that one as an opportunity to beat them.
Well, I mean, let's not talk about Jasmine Joyce. Let's talk about Simi.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, my God, what a try.
Simi Pam.
That was a well-worked try.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Incredible stuff. If you haven't seen it, go on. Yeah, it's all over social media. Simi Pam's try. Unbelievable. Perhaps she just utter frustration. She's been working on the front line all this time as well. And perhaps she's just utter frustration. But incredible pace from a prop. Thank goodness I'm not playing anymore.
These props aren't used to normal props. I mean, Shauna Brown, Sarah Bird, Hannah Bottomon, they've all got a turn of pace. They've got strong weight behind them, but they can shift it.
Yeah, they've got game. Saracens 36, Gloucester 10. Great to see Bryony Cleo back.
Yeah, she's had a real, bad run of reoccurring injuries, and so yeah, really pleased to see her back in action. She's always going to be a handful and had a really good impact I expected Gloucester to push this game a little bit closer, if I'm honest. Just knowing the talent that they have within their side, I thought, in previous times as well, their last encounter, obviously this season wasn't as close, but they have been a lot closer seasons before. So, but it looks like the Saracens, the champions, are back to their good ways, and things are coming together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I was surprised to see the difference of the scorelines there. And the final result of the weekend was you guys going down 20 points to 17 at home to Loughborough Lightning. That's a couple on the spin now. Air for concern, or just Loughborough better on the day?
I think, we didn't manage the game particularly well. The conditions were really tough. The wind was really hard, and we had that in the first half, and that can take a lot out of you. But we didn't execute again. Not as similar story as what we had in Exeter, but we had plenty of opportunities, and we're not worried. I think we'd be worried if we hadn't created any opportunities and we were really poor. I mean, 3 points in it, like the week before, 1 point in it. I think if you're getting, if the score was 20 points to 0, then you start getting concerned. But when the games are tight like that, and they had some brilliant players, and we just spoke there about the types of props, and we've had her on here before. The Lika Manning was unbelievable, line breaking, causing lots of stress in our back line through the middle, making us have to recover really hard, and we weren't able to just find the way in the end. But we've said it in our circle. These times are really useful as long as you do something with it and you don't just allow that experience to just brush it under the carpet. Oh, that's not like us. It's actually let's really learn from it. So. And look, we've not really been in these positions before, so like I said, it's good learnings. Nobody wants to lose, but you can take a lot from it. And Loughborough, they executed really well. Helena played really well with the boot, and Scarrett the same thing. They marshalled their defence really well on the edges, and we are missing a few players as well, but as were they. So we're well up for it, and unfortunately we couldn't find a way to finish at the end.
Well, Two things around that. I mean, if you're a Quins fan, it's not the easiest question to ask or answer, but that's the nature of what we do with the pod. If you're a Quins supporter, you're so used to winning, as you've just said. There have been some changes in the coaching and management above Harlequins. That's a couple of losses now. Added to that, the Saracens loss. How worried should supporters be worried at all?
No, for us, we don't see that as a Saracens loss because we haven't had a chance to play it. It's been taken out of our hands, and it is what it is. I think we've had lots of changes, but this whole year has been very difficult to manage in loads of different circumstances. And like I said, I think if we were getting 50 pointers against us and having no answers and not being able to create anything and do anything, then I would say supporters would be worried, but we're not in that position, and our fans are very supportive of us. And I think, you look at our team sheet, we're developing even more depth because, at the weekend we had 7 starting players not playing as well. So if we're pushing teams close with a lot of, our, bigger names, should I say, out, then that's a great place for the club for the future, not just for what's happening week in, week out, but, for the likes of our players to get more game time and high-pressure situations, then actually we're developing our whole squad of 40 in a much better light for the future years to come.
Answered like a true, media-trained captain. Thank you very much.
That's genuine, though. That is genuine. Like, we miss a lot of our players. They give us so much, but, it's about our whole squad as a group, and hopefully, it's going to make us better in the long run.
Yeah, look, we with this podcast, we're trying to attract the wider women's rugby audience as well, and those who've probably not seen it and they're just used to seeing Quins win all the time. There's a couple of losses on the bounce, hence the question. Anyway, the other point I just wanted to make about that was, as you say, really, really tight games, and the fact that you are being stretched and there's a couple of losses there, it's going to make for such an exciting end of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, take my Quins hat off, and I'm somebody who's just a rugby fan and looking at the league, it's amazing that it's not just Saracens and Harlequins in the race. I think, put my hat back on, there's so much competition, it makes it a lot harder as a player, but actually it's the best thing for the league, and great for the fact that we've had Allianz come in to be the new sponsor this year. They want to have these type games, they want to have different upsets. It causes stories, it gets people looking in, and all of a sudden, previously maybe there wasn't many people around Loughborough that supported Loughborough Lightning, and now they're seeing that they're beating the last two finalists teams, so then suddenly you've got a new look in because it's a little bit more exciting. So it's brilliant for the league, and it's just every week you can't switch off. You can't even some of the teams, you look at even DMP, Worcester and maybe Sale, where you would say they're in the bottom half of the league, they've still got absolute quality across their whole team. So if you're not on your game, there's any chance and every possibility that they can turn you over as well. So I think, the league is in a really, really good place, considering everything that's gone on this year as well. It bodes well for the future.
It certainly does. Well, all of that means that the Saracens leading the way with 50 points, having played 11. Loughborough Lightning in second on 43, but played 12. Then you guys, Quins, with a game less on 42 points. That final semi-final spot is taken by Wasps. They've only played 10 and sit on 39 points. Then Exeter still very much in the running with 34 points. Gloucester, Hartbury and Bristol on 25. Worcester, Sale and DMP. The only fixture this weekend is you guys against Wasps. Another fascinating game. I guess you're going for a win, but how much are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, we've watched Wasps closely and how they've improved over the season, and we know all that they've got threats across the whole park. So, we're in for another really tough day, and it's going to take 70 minutes to secure a win against them. But we're going to have to be really accurate and play in the right areas and execute when we get in those areas. You can't underestimate, players like Meg Jones, Ellie Kildare, Harriet Millen-Mills, they are players who are game changers, and we've got to make sure that we don't let them get into the game.
Indeedy so. There's all your news wrapped up neatly into a little news parcel.
Hi, I'm Helena Rowland, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Always like to support and partnership with really, really good causes. And our next guest, Simon Trower, a man who has put actions into words and has started Brave Mind, the mental health charity that is founded. It's got its epicentre within rugby. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome onto the pod Simon from Brave Mind, who are launching today. So what a great day to have you on the pod. Simon, good morning. Everything well your end? Everybody safe and well in these strange times?
No, absolutely, mate. Great to be talking to you. It's a busy day for us, as you just said. Early doors, we've been launching via our social media channels, and it's going a bit crazy. It's early doors now, and it's only been a couple of hours, and the phone is lighting up quite quickly.
Well, that's brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic news. Tell us, Simon, then about the Brave Mind journey then so far.
No, absolutely. Well, it's been a rapid journey. So, Brave Mind, I started it in September 2020. So only 5-6 months ago. Very personal reasons for me. I've experienced poor mental health from an early age, and also been involved with rugby from a very early age. Suffered with a bad injury, so when I was around 25, 26, I had to stop playing. I just never really reached the heights that I wanted to. Sort of from there, I've been out of the game for such a long time. I moved house, I joined a local club called Maidenhead. I met some fantastic people down there, helped out with the second 15. And whilst I was down there, there was a young lad that joined, and he was extremely open about his mental health and the journey that he was currently on and been on. And it was really refreshing for me to see how open he was and positive about it. And, from that point, it sort of sparked an idea in my head that I just thought, you know what, more needs to be done within the rugby community, in my opinion, around mental health. And this was all before lockdown happened and the COVID pandemic happened. Last summer I did a mental health first aid course with Mental Health England. I just wanted to get a bit more information and have a bit of a deeper dive into that subject matter. Yeah. And do you know what? It's such a broad area. I was completely overwhelmed. You know, it was from depression, anxiety to eating disorders, schizophrenia. It was incredible to see what such issues out there for people. Met some amazing people on that course. From teachers, ex-military, and off the back of that, I just said, right, I'm gonna, start. Had a chat with my brother, and he said, yeah, go for it. And that was in September. And then when I'd put a logo together and put it out on my small social media channels, I got amazing response from guys that I used to play with, business contacts, ex-coaches, and it was amazing to hear that people have been on similar journeys to me. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. One guy who was a number 8, huge leader on the pitch. But underneath all of that, when we met and had a beer, he was a really sensitive guy and very vulnerable. And, we had a really open conversation. And, from there, Johnny, it's just snowballed. And, we're now 5-6 months along the line. And with charity, we've met some amazing people. We're talking to amazing people like yourself. And our overall vision is, all about action, working with clubs, schools, to put mental health at the same kind of level as physical health and, in the heart of their community. And, we all want, talking about and supporting each other with mental health the norm.
People are passionate about these things, and that's very, very clear to hear. No, look, I'm so pleased that something like this has come along, and yeah, there's a few others in there, loose heads and blokes and what have you. For me, when you and I got in contact, the mental side of the away from the mental sort of health side, but actually rugby itself trains 95% of the body, but so little of the mind. And actually, when you look at the tight games, especially international level, they're actually won in the top 3 inches. So I just, it's always bemused me that the mind isn't looked after better. But I'm a big fact and non-verbal type chap. Actions, not words, and that's what really appealed to me about what you were doing, because there's a really, really clear plan going forward as to what you're doing. Just as you roll this out, just give us the steps you would like to take. So you're involved with Zinhle. If Zinhle's your case study, in the next 6 months, year, 2 years, what are we going to see at Zinhle that we could see, hopefully for you and Brave Minds and everyone else, around the country in years to come?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate about Zinhle and really grateful that they've agreed to trial this with us. It's very much a pilot programme. So, we're at the early stages of that. It was only launched sort of last week. But, I'm an ex-Zinhle player, and 3 or 4 others as part of the Brave Mind team are ex-Zinhle players. So, we've got a good relationship with the DOR and the management there. So it's fantastic. What we're about is going in there and creating a community within Zinhle Rugby Club. All of that needs to sit with their values as a club.
Yep.
But from one thing I forgot to mention was, this is around, this is from grassroots all the way through to top flight. We've all got mental health, and that's from youth, women's and the senior game. With Zinhle we'll go in, we've got a 3 sort of pillared module. Yep. The first is discovery, connection and growth. I won't go into too much detail around each one, but that's the sort of the model that we're going to be talking them through. There'll be a select group of people within the club that they will put forward to become, Brave Mind champions. So they will create a team within the club environment that will drive this topic going forward. I want parents, coaches, the head coach, the second team coach, the fourth team coach. There needs to be key individuals within the club that will drive this topic. And that's the exciting part. And, you know, after this pilot, we'll sit down with the club, we'll review it, we'll critique it, we'll look at things that, you know what, that didn't work, but this was an absolute gem over here. And at that point, when we've got this model that we feel is, you know, is scalable, and we think it is, you know, we'll obviously look to approach other clubs. And, you know, we're a charity, so fundraising is very important. We need to connect with local businesses, and to really push and push and push, because I think, as I said, you know, a lot more can be done, and getting in there, especially from an early age.
So effectively, in very much layman's terms, so if I had a sore calf, unlikely because I don't actually go beyond a walk, but if I had a sore calf, I would go to the club physio, right?
Yep.
If I've got a mental issue or something I'm not particularly happy about, I go to a Brave Mind champion, and it's almost exactly the same as going to a physio for a physical ailment.
Absolutely, and part of our program is educating, you know, a set group of people within Henley Rugby Club as mental health first aiders. So, you know, exactly like a physical first aider, you know, we're not saying that they will be mental health experts, but what they will be able to do is have those conversations and signpost as players, coaches, or whoever within the club, to support and to help. You know, it's creating a safe environment within rugby clubs and schools in a non-judgmental way, that it's, you know, it's okay to talk about those things. And one critical point is those mental health first aiders need to be, and this is my personal opinion, need to be part of the senior setup. So, you know, we need a head coach in there. You know, we need the first team captain in there. We need leaders within the club that will drive this forward.
Yeah, because
and that's key for me. Because if you don't, then, you know, we need what's the word? It's, you know, it's just value, isn't it? And just showing the people that this is taken seriously. And it's a huge part of the rugby club's identity.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything. Yeah, apologies for interrupting you. Yeah, always filters down from the top. Just two more questions, if we may, Simon, with your phone buzzing away there, like the bat phone or whatever this morning. One would be, and I suspect a question: if somebody's in a really bad way, and you go to one of your helpers, what's that channel to then go slightly further? Because as you say, you know, it's a delicate area, and, you know, let's not shy away, especially during these lockdown. You know, suicide rates have massively increased. If they're not sort of professional mental health experts, how close is that help, and where's that link?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, what we're looking at is sort of urgent support and non-urgent support.
Yep.
So as you probably say, you know, suicide crisis, etc. It's, you know, you need to get help immediately. So obviously you've got the 999 immediate medical help, nearest A&E. You know, talk to someone. You know, try and keep safe. You know, all of these different things. You know, we're there to signpost people at the end of the day. But if a player has got those suicidal feelings, then there are people there to notice those. You know, that's what the mental health first aid course does. Is they'll be able to spot signs early.
Yeah.
And direct those to immediate help.
Really, really appreciate your time this morning. I know it's a busy morning. Thank you so very, very much. Wish you all the very, very best, and certainly personally, and the WRP will be there with you every step of the way to try and help and do whatever we can, because not only is it a subject close to my heart, as you know, close to home, but also it's just the right thing to do, and it's just not done enough. And you're very much action.
No, absolutely.
Into it. So,
thank you, Johnny. You know, for letting me come on and have a chat. It's, you know, as I say, it's a very important topic to myself personally. And, you know, if anybody out there is looking to get involved, you know, we're on Insta, we're on Twitter, Facebook, website, bravemind.co.uk. You know, we'd love to hear from you. And as I said, it's across the whole youth, women's, men's. You know, we've all got mental health, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It is open for all. Simon, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. All the best today and for the future.
Thanks, Johnny. Catch up soon.
I am Shona Powell-Hughes, and you are listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Well, that's about it for this week. Burf, good luck against Wasps. All the best in that one. We'll just urge everyone, if you haven't already, please subscribe, share, rate, get us out there at Pod Women's Rugby. Who's on next week, Burf?
Well, we're going down under. We're going to Australia to the Melbourne Rebels head coach, Elena Thomas, who's also recently appointed Fijian women's assistant coach as well. So we're going to check out everything that's going on down under there. Yeah.
Just for everyone's clarification, down under, not in Poland, as per Burf's accent there.
Alana's the accent not any good?
No, I'm saying nothing. Accept and build. Yeah, Alana is.
I think my Aussie accent's quite good, actually.
Right. Okay. Well, perhaps.
Get Elena on. Elena's going to join us next week. That's pretty good. Come on.
Right.
I mean, we can ask Elena.
Yeah. Okay. Conduct the entire interview with that accent, and we'll see how far we get, how annoyed she gets within a couple of minutes. Yeah, Alana's part of that World Rugby initiative to get coaches, female coaches, in amongst the international teams leading up into the World Cup. So, heard from South Africa this week, Fiji next week. Might just thank our guest today, Zinhle Ndawonde from South Africa. Yeah, really exciting times in South Africa. And Simon Trower from Brave Minds. If you can get behind Brave Minds and everything that Simon is doing, then please do check out our socials, my socials as well, for all that, as being one of the members of the advisory board. It's a brilliant cause, and do get involved. Stay safe, everyone. Good luck against Wasps, Burf, and we will see you next week.
Until next time.